Good job, Lionsgate. Now that is how to destroy a movie franchise. What up, book lovers? It is G-Swizzel here, and I am here to talk about the news that we received today. If you have been on my channel for the longest time, you know that this over here is my favorite book series of all time. Movie series, not so much. I saw this article on my Twitter feed today from Variety. They brought the devastating news that the last part of Divergent is not going to be a movie that is going to be released in theaters. There are a lot of people out there that call themselves true Divergent fans, and they are shocked by the news, and they're like, oh my goodness, no, that is so sad. Is this really happening to the Divergent series? And my response is, I'm so sorry if you probably hate me because I am just trash talking about this right now, but honestly, I saw this coming from the very beginning. I knew eventually that I was going to make this video. I was planning to make this video closer to the release of Ascendant. I thought to myself, maybe it was going to be easier if I knew that there was going to be an end date to this, but I think that right now is the perfect occasion to do this. So I'm going to talk about my top 10 problems I have with the Divergent movie franchise. Now, before you dislike this video, before you hate comment, or before you leave this video, I'm just going to put a disclaimer here. Veronica Roth is my favorite author. The Divergent series is my favorite series. It is my baby, and I will defend it till the end of days. So I will let you know that this video is not going to be bashing the book series whatsoever. Another disclaimer, I am not going to be trash talking any of the actors or actresses that played a role in this movie. So if you think that I'm going to be trash talking people like Shailene Woodley, Miles Teller, Theo James, think again, because I am not going to do that. Also, another disclaimer, there are going to be spoilers for both the book series and the first two movies. I do have to admit, I did not see Allegiant because I didn't want to give the people that ruined my favorite series my money in the box office. Probably that's the reason why it failed, so yeah. Bye, Felicia. Remember that I am a reviewer. I am a book reviewer. Sometimes I'm also a movie reviewer. I would consider myself more of a movie adaptation reviewer. If an adaptation isn't well done, of course I will criticize it. Even if it's well done, I will still have my criticisms. Now, this does not mean that I am nitpicking at every single thing because this is my favorite book series. However, this does mean I will be nitpicking at everything that doesn't meet the vision of the original trilogy as a whole. I will also be nitpicking at what the movie franchise did wrong in regards to young adult adaptations and marketing strategies as well. To a point that is very evident in the movie that should be pointed out is the disregard for all the side characters. The real main characters in this series are obviously Triss, obviously Four, Caleb, and then Peter. That's pretty much it. But G-Swizzel, they casted Christine, and then eventually they casted Uriah, and then you still had Will, and then you still had Al. Yes, thank you for your input, but they literally get only like 5 lines in the movie, let's be real. Every single one of the casting of characters in the book series plays such a big part in the series, and they are just shoved to the corner. After the first movie, you had so many fans attacking Neil Berger for not casting Uriah. So you know what they did? In the second movie, Insurgent, they casted Uriah, and you know what happened? He literally only got 2 minutes of screen time all up. You don't cast somebody, you don't waste your money for not giving them a significant part in the movie. And I am so happy that they did eventually cast Keenan Lonsdale as Uriah. I mean, Australian represent, right? That's awesome. I'm so mad though that they went all the way back to cast him, but only give him 1 or 2 lines. The same thing goes for Lynn and Marlene. It's so funny because Uriah is just as an important character as Christina is. That even though Christina does have more lines than Uriah, she still doesn't have enough. Another thing that ticks me off about this movie franchise is the narrowing down of the target audience. Now, when I first read Divergent, before the movies came out, as soon as I read it, I recommended it to every one of my friends. Boy or girl, older or younger, this book series is so universal in its target market. Of course, it is under the young adult genre, but anybody can read it. After the Divergent movie came out, an Insurgent movie came out, an Allegiant movie came out, I still recommend the series, except I don't get the same response that I did before. Every single guy that I recommend it to now, they always push it back in my face. face. They're like, no, this is a 12-y romantic version of the Hunger Games that is about the chosen girl. It lacks in action and there's so much more romance in it. Of course I'm not going to pick that up. When I recommend it to older people, they're like, no, that is literally like the new version of Twilight. Why would you read that trash? This movie franchise destroyed the broad target market that it had. I feel so sorry for Veronica Roth because her series was literally for everyone and it has been reduced to this. The next point I want to bring up is very crucial to this series, and that is the skimming over of the characters' fears. Now, a lot of people blame the casting of Four. I mean, we love Theo James, guys. A lot of people, however, blame his casting, blame the fact that he looks so tough that he doesn't even look like he's afraid of his own father. I can agree to disagree in some sort of way. Let me explain. Out of all the books, Marcus Eaton plays the biggest part in Insurgent. How many minutes of screen time did he get in the Insurgent movie? 30 seconds. There's even a part of this book which honestly, really, it makes me cry every single time I read it. But Four literally faces his fear and beats the crap out of his dad like his dad beat the crap out of him growing up. Four in this series goes through a lot of emotional turmoil. Now, also being a movie critic, you would think that I wouldn't give a crap about that at all, that that's okay to skip over, but it's not. You know why? Because the fear landscape plays a big part in the book series. Of course you would think about Four's emotional health. And what do the movies do? They literally push past that as if he's not afraid of him anymore. Another example I can give for this is Triss's fear simulation in Divergent. One thing that was briefly touched in the Divergent movie but was completely skimmed over was the fact that Triss has a fear of intimacy. What did the movie make it look like? It looked like that she had a fear of rape. Towards the end of the book, Four talks with Triss and asks her about that fear and how he can do to help. And in Insurgent, the book, they have one little intimate scene, but it is not that intimate at all. However, in the movies, you literally go from Triss in the Divergent movie having a fear of intimacy to going into Insurgent having sex. And not only that, literally spooning with Four in bed. Now, I'm not going to go too further into this point, but you get what I'm saying. What am I going to talk about next? I'm going to talk about the sexualization and the marketing strategies. You could not tell from the first movie that it was going to get extremely sexy. The sexiest it got in the first movie was Four literally just showing off his back tattoo. But in the second movie, Triss, who has a fear of intimacy, zips down her shirt and goes nude. Now, of course, it was boobless sex, but the problem is that you could see evidently through their marketing strategies, through the trailer and everything like that, that sex apparently sells. I mean, I haven't seen Allegiant, but when it gets to the point where a main protagonist in the series who doesn't even think about that stuff, to go from that extreme to somebody who is just literally just casually taking their clothes off all the time, like, what? I mean, if they were aiming for the Hunger Games, that is not the way to go. I mean, I know that they were aiming big at the box office, but Triss isn't one to take her clothes off all the time. I'm sorry guys, but you ruined my role model for me. So this point is actually pretty important considering that this series is a dystopian. The genre is dystopia. And the point that I would like to bring out is the fact that this movie franchise lacks in the dystopian elements, and the emphasis is now focused on sci-fi and the cinematography. Not the plot, not the writing, not the script, the cinematography. There have been a lot of movies that have bombed the box office because their plot was weak, even though their cinematography was amazing. I absolutely despise the fact that they are paying so much to make this amazing cinematic experience, but lack in script, lack in plot, lack in everything. Honestly, I think they should have spent more money paying really good writers to write something amazing rather than wasting it on special effects. And how does this relate to my point? Because it is a dystopian world, it is very complex. You need script writers, you need plot writers to actually build the world and translate it to screen properly. I do have to say that the first movie is an exception to this point. The dystopian elements in the first movie were a whole lot more focused on than the next ones in the trilogy. So I do commend that. And to go off what I said in the last point about the first movie, my next reason why I've lost all faith in this movie franchise is the fact that they changed directors. It is pretty self-explanatory why if you have watched the movies, because let's be real, it changes tone real quick. My next reasoning is also pretty simple, and that is the changing of location. Divergent series took place in a dystopian Chicago. Now, one thing that the Divergent franchise did right is set the first movie in Chicago. As much as the first movie wasn't perfect, it still somewhat caught the heart and vision of what Veronica Roth was writing down on paper. But then when they moved to Atlanta, that's when it went downhill. Okay, now we're gonna go deeper. The next reason that I have such a big problem with this franchise, because there is a lack of tension between faction and faction and faction and factionless. That's a lot of faction, oh my gosh. A good example will be what happened in Insurgent, the book. You were introduced to the factionless, and the factionless started a revolution against the faction system. And I absolutely do not want to compare this to the Hunger Games whatsoever, but it's pretty much their version of the districts against the capital. Except Triss's true intention is not to fight against the faction system. She is fighting against a corrupt leader, at least the ending of Insurgent. It became a revolution that she wasn't even a part of. I'm so sad that that was taken away from the movies and manipulated into something else, because it was at least one big plot point that was different to other dystopians like the Hunger Games. My next point is the convenience. Now, I have not watched Allegiant. Remember that my judgment pretty much goes as far as the Allegiant trailer. But what I do know is that Insurgent finishes in such a convenient way that you didn't even need another movie. This book right here finishes in a cliffhanger. It finishes in gunshots. It finishes where you don't know what Triss's fate is. She's pretty much taken prisoner because she rebelled against the actual revolution. And also there were so many action sequences that happened in Insurgent where Max has that earpiece that's really Janine speaking into his ear, and then all of the Dauntless are spying on them. Or there's the part that I was talking about earlier where Tobias beats the crap out of his dad. And let's not forget the big part of the story, the faction war. The part where Triss is actually called an insurgent. But no, Triss had to open this little box and be connected to these needles that were shaped like an octopus. Because she's the special one, she's the only one that's 100% divergent. Who comes up with these things? This should be a Disney Channel original movie. Oh wait, no it shouldn't, because she's gonna take her top off in it. And we come to the top reason why I have the biggest problems with this movie franchise. Number one is the chosen one trope. Must bring Triss prior now or you'll die. Now, it was very clear from what Tori said to Triss in the first movie, the day of her aptitude test. So, Tori, what faction did I get? Abnegation. And Erudite. And Dauntless. Now, I've got a little game for you movie makers. We're gonna play a game of math. How many factions are there? Let's see, you've got Erudite, Dauntless, Abnegation, Amity, and yeah, Candor. Oh my goodness. There are 5 factions, G-Swizzel. Such a good job. Give yourselves a clap. In order to be 100% divergent, you will need an aptitude of how many factions? Well, 100% would be all of it, right? That's right. That means that you would need an aptitude for Abnegation, Candor, Amity, Erudite, and Dauntless. Such a good job, I should give you guys all cookies right now. Great, yeah, I feel great. So let's talk about our main protagonist, Triss Pryor. Yeah, okay, she's pretty much the reason why we made this movie. Good, then you'd know how many factions she has an aptitude for. Yeah, in the first movie, she had an aptitude for Abnegation, Erudite, and of course Dauntless. Oh my goodness, you are so right. Now, I have one more question for you, and if you get this question right, you will receive a slice of Dauntless cake. Oh my god, I love that stuff. Exactly, so you would have to answer this one question. Okay, hit me up. So being that Triss has an aptitude for 3 factions, what percentage of a divergent does that make her? 100, obviously. Who gave this movie maker a job? Well, obviously no Dauntless cake for you. Triss is 60% divergent, not 100%. As much as that really does tick me off, that's not even the main reason why I'm mad. The absolute main reason that I am mad is the fact that Triss was just a normal human being, just like you and me. There is literally nothing special about her. I mean, I know that she's divergent, but a lot of people are divergent in this world. And the reason why there doesn't seem to be too many in the movie is because they keep on getting killed off. And it's so funny because she literally doesn't even make history until what happens in the last book, Allegiant. Why did you make her into some Katniss Everdeen? One of the biggest reasons why I absolutely love and adore the series is because it follows a normal teenager who isn't chosen and has such an unfortunate life. But even if she isn't the one that is chosen to do it, she does it anyway, and she does it selflessly. Triss isn't chosen, but she has a choice. So yeah, that is actually going to be it for this video today. I hope you did find some sort of amusement in my ranting. And before I go, I do want to push one more thing. For the people that didn't read the series and chose to stay till the end of the video, please read the series. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.